Hey soulmates, you're welcome back to class. So today we'll learn how to make this beautiful halter neck waistcoat, and I'll also be teaching you how you can achieve your normal waistcoat from here. So if this sounds like something you would like to learn, then stay tuned and let's dive in. So to make this beautiful waistcoat, I'll be using this red crepe fabric that is about 1 yard, that is 36 inches, and this cotton lining fabric that is half yard, which is 18 inches, and the length is all by 16. I couldn't get exactly that color of red, so I just decided to use this shade of red. So this class is going to have a pattern drafting because I want it detailed so that you can understand everything very well. So for our pattern drafting, we are going to take away 1 inch. You can see the way I came in by 1 inch. This is because we are going to use this 1 inch as our button allowance. You know, when you are making a shirt that has a button and then you take out about 1 inch or 2 inches for your button allowance. So for me and for this waistcoat, we'll be taking out 1 inch allowance for that. So guys, my name is Tekla and you are welcome to my channel. If this is your first time being here, please click the subscribe button, and if you are a returning subscriber, you're welcome back home. So let's continue. So for my vertical measurement, I took my shoulder to my bust point, which is 11 inches, my shoulder to under bust, which is 15 inches, and my shoulder to my waistline, which is 18 inches. Remember that your waistline is 3 inches below your under bust. And then I marked my full length that I'll be using, which is 26 inches for now. And then on that place that I marked my bust point measurement, I came up by 2 inches for my chest line. If you are a returning subscriber, you already know that this is how we do our pattern drafting. Yeah, I know. So from there, I just connected all the lines, and I am going to go ahead now and take my shoulder. The shoulder that I'll be working with is 16 inches divided by 2, which is 8. I marked it on my shoulder line and I also marked it on my chest line. This is going to help us to get our round armhole measurement. Hope you understood. Then for my neckline, I am going to go in by 3.5. Then I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. The reason why I'm using 3.5 is because this is a halter neckline and you wouldn't want it to be choking your neck kind of. So you need to take some inches away from your neck and also on your armhole. So now that is by the way, let's continue. So I went ahead to label my vertical lines. I have my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my waistline, and then my full length. So now that all that is said and done, you are going to divide your bust span or your nipple to nipple measurement by 2. The nipple to nipple measurement that I'm working with is 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. And I went ahead to mark it on my bust point, on my under bust, on my waistline, and on my full length. So I'm just going to go ahead now and connect that together. Then on my waistline, I'm going to take out half inch on both sides, and I'm going to connect it to about half inch below my bust point. If you have been viewing my videos, you know that I do not connect directly on my bust point. This helps me to take out that sharp edge that comes to your bust point when you are maybe taking out a dart or you are doing a princess seam. So now that is done, I just went ahead to connect it like that, and then I also came up by about 2 inches on my full length and I connected it back there. So on my armhole line, I measured it and then I divided it into 2 and I marked it. And that place that I marked it, I then came up and came down by half inch on both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and connect that to my bust point. And you also know that for me to connect that to my bust point, I'm going to also come up by 1/4 of an inch on half inch so that it doesn't directly fall on the bust point. just to avoid too many sharpness kind of. So I just connected the first line to it, and I'm now going to go ahead to connect the second line. And this very thing that we are doing is our armhole tightening. We are trying to tighten the armhole so that not when you wear the clothes it to not have something like a rump or a rumpled something on the armhole. So that is why we took out that 1 inch. It's like your armhole tightening. Then the bust that I am working with, the round bust is 40. I divided it by 4, which is 10, and then I added extra 1 inch allowance. I marked that on my bust point and on my chest line. I also divided my waist measurement by 4. I marked it down, added the 1 inch dart allowance that we took and 1 inch sewing allowance, and I just went ahead to connect it. Then on my full length, which is 26, I did my hip measurement. Then my hip is 40 divided by 4, which is about 10, and I added allowance. So I just marked it there. So now this is where you are going to determine how long you want your top to be on the side. You can decide you want it to be 4 inches long, 3 inches long, 2 inches long. Depends on how you want it. Are you making it as a crop top or it will just be a normal full top? But for me, I decided to make it 2 inches because I just want the side to drop a little on my waist. So I marked 2 inches, and that place that I marked in 2 inches, I came to my waistline and came down by about 6 inches. That is how long I want the tip of my top to be. And that place that I marked 6 inches, I came in by 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead now and connect from that 2 inches to that place that I marked my 6 inches down. Hope you understood that. And then I am going to go ahead now and come down by 2 inches also on my waistline. I'm doing that on the bottom part because that place also is hanging. So I just want my side and my center part to be exactly the same thing. Hope you understood that. So I'm going to connect from that place that I came down by 6 inches and came in by 3 inches. I'm going to go ahead now and connect that together. So I noticed while I was doing that, the camera wasn't recording that fully, so I just started to redo it in case you didn't grab. So you can see what I did. So guys, are you enjoying this video? Please go ahead now, hit the like button. You see that thumbs up, hit on it so that YouTube can get to recommend these videos to other tailors like us, to other soulmates like us. Now that you have done that, let's ride on. So for my neckline, I just decided to come down by 3/4 of an inch from my chest line. And now because this is a halter neckline, we are going to trim the shoulder line. So I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch on my neckline. Remember that what I marked initially is 3.5. So now that I came in by 1/2 inch, it means that what I'm taking out is 4 inches. So you can just decide to take that out, and you can also use the 3.5, but for me, I don't want to use the 3.5. So I also noticed that the camera didn't record the armhole part, so I'm just going to go ahead and explain that again. So the length of my shoulder line is 2 inches, and then I came down by 1/2 inch on my chest line and I connected it. So you can see how that looks. You can see that the shoulder part is contoured, like allowances were taken out. Hope you understood that. So I didn't just start from the tip of my shoulder to curve my armhole line. I measured 2 inches from that place that I measured 4 inches. Hope you understood that anyway. So for now, I wanted to make my neckline a little bit deeper, and then I cancelled out the first line that I had, even though I still later worked with it because I noticed it's going to show my breast. And also know that this place that I curved my neckline, you can as well make it straight, like a straight neckline, but for me, I want it curved because this is definitely going to show my cleavage. And you know that place I came in by 3/4 of an inch, you can also go higher in case you don't want your cleavage to show. So now to tighten our bust point, we are going to come down by 1 inch from our bust point, and we are going to connect it back to the bust point dart. You can see what I did. Even if you don't understand what I'm saying, please just focus on what I'm doing and you definitely understand everything. So I'm just going to go ahead now and cut out the down part, and you can see what we have. You can see that our waistcoat is already coming out fine. So I'm going to go ahead now and fold that my allowance, because we want to cut out the back part. I'm going to fold the allowance so that we can have an equal measurement. So guys, have you subscribed? If this is your first time being on this channel, use this opportunity now and hit the subscribe button so you don't get to miss out on other videos that we have. Also check out our channel to see very good videos that we have there: corsets, tutorials, advanced, beginner and intermediate, and all of that. It's all on our channel. Hip padding, just check that out and you see all the lovely tutorials that we have. And then we also have online class that is ongoing. If you like learning online, just follow the link in our bio to reach me directly on WhatsApp. I also have a community of tailors on WhatsApp. If you go to our bio on this YouTube, you'll see a link that is leading directly to that. So you just click the link and also get to us. And also, if you would like to see where we post all these designs that I create on YouTube, also follow the link on our bio to get to us on Instagram at @TeclaCutor, and then you get to see all these designs that we make and where we post it. So now that is by the way, let's get back to the back pattern. So I just did the same thing that I did on the front, took my vertical measurements, and then I took my nipple to nipple measurements, of course. And on the waistline, I came out on both sides by half inch, just the same thing that we did for the front. And I am also going to go ahead and extend this line to my full length, so that I'll know that I took out half inch on both sides. So you can see exactly what we are doing. So I'm now going to go ahead and impute my horizontal measurements, and I also added back the dart allowance of 1 inch that I took, and I am also going to now come down by 1 inch for my bust point tightening. And you can see the way I came down by 1 inch on my bust point. Some people choose to come down by 1.5, but for me, I like coming down by 1 inch. 1 inch is okay for me. It depends on which one is okay for you, but for me, 1 inch is just enough. So you can choose to do 1.5. Is a thing of choice. So I just went ahead to connect that back, and then I am now going to go ahead and mark out my neckline. Remember that I said I still use the first neckline, so I'm just going to extend that to my back pattern. You can see the way I placed my front pattern on the back pattern, so you do not make this mistake when you are cutting. So now that I did that, I'm just going to extend the tip of my both neckline, and then I'll take out the armhole. So assuming you are making a waistcoat with without a halter neckline, this pattern now is going to work for you. All you have to do is just to put the neckline that you want. Maybe you want a V neckline, just put it and you can work with it to make a normal waistcoat. But since we are doing a halter neckline, we'll just continue with the tutorial. Then I also noticed that I didn't add allowance to my bust points and also on my full length, which I just added that. So now I'm going to determine how I want my back to be. I want my back to be curved. Remember that this halter neckline does not have, the back is open. So it's going to be like a yoke part and then the down part. So that is what I just carved out. But even if you didn't understand that, just pay attention. You will still see the way I'm cutting it and you'll still be clarified. So on the back neckline, I first came down by 1.5, even though I later realized this 1.5 wasn't going to be enough, and I came down by 1 inch again. So I'm advising that if you are doing this, just come down by maybe 2.5 or 3 inches. 3 inches is not even too much on the back neckline, yes. and you can just use that to curve the back neckline. But for me, I decided to come down by 2.5. After everything, what I used was 2.5. So I just went ahead to add the allowance that I skipped initially, just to make sure that my pattern are okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out that. I'm also going to open up my bust point dart as well. Remember that the reason why we are taking all these things is just to avoid all these rumples or sharp folding, to avoid your fabric from folding when you wear it. It's not nice that you are a good tailor and then you sew clothes and it's folding here and there. You see big designers make clothes and there's no fold on it most times. So that is exactly why we take out all these darts here and there. So now that is done, let's just continue. I also went ahead to pin this down. If you have a masking tape, you can just tape it down, or if you have a gum, you can just gum it. But for me, I didn't have any of that, so I just decided to pin it with my pin, of course. So I'm going to go ahead now and open up this button allowance so that I can trim out the neckline. You can see that I still made use of that, my first neckline. I still had to make use of it because I noticed if I use the second one, it might be too wide. You can also use the 3.5 to curve it the same way that we did. So this is my back pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out from there. You can see where I cut it out from, which is like that 1/2 inch that I came down on the armhole from my chest line. So now I'm going to I opened up the back dart and I'm going to close it. The thing is, you can cut it directly like this on your fabric and sew down the dart, but for me, I don't like sewing down the dart, so I just close it up on my pattern paper, so I don't even have to sew it as well. So now that I've closed that up, we are now going to go ahead, and remember I told you that the 1.5 inch that I used was not enough, so I just went ahead to come down again by 1 inch. So the total neckline that I took out on the back is 2.5 by 4. The length is the width is 2.5 and then the length is 4 inches. Hope you understood that. So now to get our halter neckline, you can see the way I pinned down these 2 places, and you can see that the 2 inches in the front is still the same 2 inches on the back. Armhole facing armhole, neckline facing neckline. So just that same 2 inches that I have there, I'm going to mark it around the neckline like so. You can see the way I am doing that, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect it, and I'll cut that out, and that is going to serve as our neckline. Hope you understood that. If you didn't understand, just go back, rewatch, and follow up with what we are doing. But if you are understanding it and you find this tutorial helpful, please leave us a nice comment in the comment section. At least let me know that this video is impacting someone. And then if you also have a question, please drop it in the comments and I will still answer you on that. I will get back to you on that. And remember, just like I said, our online class is ongoing, and you can also check our channel for other tutorials and all of that. So you can see how our halter neckline is already coming out. You can see the way it looks, and this is just so beautiful. You know, when you are making something and it's just coming out nice. Yeah, I just feel proudful for that. So I'm going to cut out that on my fabric. I folded my fabric into 2 just the way you are seeing it, and I'm going to go ahead now and pin that down. Please take note of the way I am placing the halter neckline. I didn't just curve it anyhow. I just made sure it's well curved, and I went ahead to pin my pattern on the material, and I'm going to add 1/2 inch sewing allowance. It depends on what you can work with. If you sew with 1 inch allowance, you add 1 inch. If you sew with 1/2 inch allowance, you add 1/2 inch. If you sew with 1/4 inch allowance, you just add extra 1/4 on the fabric. But for me, I work with about 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to add 1/2 inch round, and that 1/2 inch is what I'm going to use and join it. The only place I didn't add 1/2 inch is this curved part of my halter neckline that I'm cutting now. That is because I want to have 1.5 inches when I'm done turning it. You can just decide to add the allowance if you want. And then I added 1/2 inch allowance to every other part except that part, because if I add the 1/2 inch there, when I'm now done sewing, I'll have exactly 2 inches. But now that I didn't have 1/2 inch there, when I'm done sewing, it's going to be 1/2 inch shorter, which is exactly what I want. I want my halter neckline to be 1.5 inches in width. So now that I've cut that out, I am also going to cut out the side part of our front panel. You can see that this thing somehow looks like a princess seam, or should I even say it's a princess seam? But I just hope you were able to understand everything. So I'm just going to cut out the side parts, and also note that I am adding 1/2 inch on all sides. You can see the way I'm doing that. I'm adding 1/2 inch on all sides. So guys, you can see how detailed this class is. Then imagine if you register for our online class. Just click the link and get to me on WhatsApp, and I'll give you the details of the classes that are ongoing. So I've cut out the side parts and then the center part, and then I'm going to go ahead now and cut out the back. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the back, and then I am also going to go ahead and cut out the linings off camera. I'm just going to cut exactly the same thing that I cut on my main fabric. I'm going to cut it on the lining. So for the back part, I was just adding 1/2 inch round. You can decide to add any allowance that you want, but for me, I'm using 1/2 inch because that is what I want to use. Then on the up part too, I just had to make it a straight line so it can be just like that. So guys, because I didn't want this video to be so long, so this is just going to be the pattern drafting and the cutting. So in my next tutorial, we are going to do the sewing tutorial. Then for the rose flower, I'm just going to do like a spiral something. You know the spiral, when you're making like a spiral something. So I just marked a dot, and then I started coming in and out by 2 inches, and then I just went round to get that, and I'm going to cut it out like so. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you found it valuable, and if you have a question, please drop it in the comment section. And right now, let's move to the sewing tutorial. Bye.